Hello students, let's continue with T.S. Eliot's poem The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. In the previous two sessions, we have seen that how Eliot has presented Prufrock as a specimen of modern human civilization. Prufrock represents the sense of alienation, anxiety, depression, and indecisiveness of modern man. Let's see what Prufrock further reflects over. And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pen, when I am penned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the but ands of my days and ways, and how should I presume? Students, uh, here, Prufrock is not just pessimistic about his capacity to take action and change the direction of his life. He is also pessimistic about his ability to form relationships with others. He claims that he knows that people will stare at him, evaluate him, and fix him in a formulated phrase. Here, one thing is to be noted down that speaker Prufrock uses synecdoche in referring to eyes. I have highlighted here eyes. They they are used for the whole, for the people in his surroundings, and he's using the word eye that stare at him, taking a part of a person, means their eyes represents the whole human being. And the use of this device points to the degree of the speaker Prufrock's alienations, since he cannot seem to think about people in their entirety, only as eyes intended to fix and judge him. This suggests that Prufrock struggles to form relationships and fears the judgment of others, who may use cliches or formulated phrases in order to dismiss him. Students, another thing is to be noted down that there is the strong alienation of the phrase of fix you in a formulated phrase, which focuses the listener's attention on these words. And here the speaker Prufrock fears the scrutiny of other people, comparing the experience of being looked at by others to being pinned and wriggling against the wall like a bug or a scientific specimen. Clearly, he fears being judged as he goes forth in the world, and at the same time, he also gives the impression that he feels he deserves to be judged, as when he derogatorily refers to the but ands of my days and ways. By the phrase days and ways, he presumably means that the small actions that make up his daily life. But he compares those days and ways to the butt ends of a cigarette, the part that one spits out and grinds on the ground. So comparing his life to a used up cigarette is a disconcerting metaphor that emphasizes the speaker, that Prufrock's dark vision of his own life. Indeed, he ends this stanza with a return to the refrain which we have seen in the previous session, that how should I presume. Here again, he does not feel that he has the right to say or do anything, and to even dare to do anything. The same sense of anxiety and inability to communicate with others, to interact with others, to express his very being continues. Prufrock further says, and I have known the arms already, known them all, and arms that are bristleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight downed with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl. And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Prufrock's sense of weariness with the world and with the relationship also seems to extend to his experience with women, as in this line, He claims that he has known the arms already, and this description of arms clearly seems to depict women's arms specifically, which are braceleted and white and bare. So this is an oddly disembodied way of describing another human being. Rather than describing women's eyes and faces, Prufrock fixates on one of their body parts in a way that means he doesn't have to look them in the face. Here again, Prufrock has made use of synecdoche in order to make a part of a person, that the arms of the women stand in for the whole. So this device becomes yet another way for the speaker to distance himself physically and emotionally from others, focusing on body parts rather than people. So this strange, disembodied description of women centered on arms, bracelets, and perfume from a dress points to the speaker's lack of connection and engagement with others. The descriptions are sensual and erotic. They suggest that the speaker experiences attraction to women, but at the same time, however, he also seems incapable of forming relationships with them or even speaking to them. Here again, his habitual procrastination comes in, as he asks whether he can presume to speak to them. Indeed, he seems to not even know how to begin, suggests that the speaker's anxiety and indecision are preventing him from forming meaningful connections with people. So the same anxiety and indecision while communicating or interacting with others continues in the further stanza also. Let's see what Prufrock says. Shall I say, I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows. I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. So here in these very perplexing or rather opaque lines, Prufrock narrates a series of experiences that he fears that he will be unable to even share or communicate with others. He imagines telling someone, perhaps the woman with bracelets on her arms, described in the previous stanza, that he has walked down narrow streets at night and seen aspects of the city that few others have, like the smoke rising from pipes and lonely men in the shirt sleeves. So these images call back to the first few stanzas of the poem, students, and those very stanzas were characterized by descriptions of a dirty, decaying and seedy city. So these lines suggest too that Prufrock sees a side to the city that others can't see, leading him to view it as a disturbing and troubling place. However, Prufrock's impulse to tell someone about his evening walks never comes to fruition. Instead, uh, he trails off in an ellipsis. Look at here after the third line, there is an ellipse. There is a blank space, these three dots. This ellipse shows that there is an abrupt break in the stanza, and this employment of ellipse seems to stand in for everything he can't say, as Prufrock gives up on trying to narrate nighttime experiences that seem somehow incommunicable. Instead, after a break or a gap, he begins a new stanza and comments, I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. He comments that I should have been a pair of ragged claws, that he was a scavenging bottom feeder with ragged claws like a crab. He's comparing himself with a crab scuttling across the floors of the ocean, and this suggests that how difficult the speaker finds it to express himself. Prufrock prefers life as an animal in the silent seas. He prefers life as a crab in the silent seas to the difficulties of human life and communication. So this is how Prufrock gives expression to his inability to interact and to communicate with the people around him. So this is all for the text which we have taken up today. We'll continue with the further part of the stanza in the next session. Thank you.